Imagine someone in a wheelchair. Do you expect them to climb the top of the building by
Can I ask, sorry, I'm just because you're saying something meaningful. If you could take the microphone and we'll start again. I'll introduce you one more time. If you want to hold the microphone. Just that's it. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Eritrea.
Imagine someone in a wheelchair. Do we expect them to reach the top of the building by climbing stairs? Of course not. We build elevators. Because the goal was never the stairs. The goal was reaching the top. The same applies to a child who learns differently. That child is not incapable. They just need a different way up. Greetings, Miss Julia, Miss World Organization, my fellow national ambassadors. I am Snit Habteab Tewoldemedhin, the very first Miss World Eritrea. I come from a country where we gather around the same tray and share food as one, where someone may even feed you by hand as a way of saying, you belong here. I carry this hidden gem of the Red Sea into Miss World for the very first time, believing what this stage believes. Beauty is not what we wear, but what we give purpose to. When my sister was born with Down syndrome, my family was faced with a question no family is ever ready to answer. How do you raise a child in a world that is not built with her in mind? My mother became my sister's fiercest advocate. At the age of 20, I lost my mother to breast cancer. And her fight became my own. But my sister taught me how capable she truly was and how much this world needs her exactly as she is. When we moved to the United States, the education available to my sister fell short. That is when I discovered Montessori education, using toy-like materials that unlocked results traditional classrooms couldn't. I brought them home and watched her grow. She learned how to read, do math, and try things she didn't try before. I needed to understand why it worked, so I studied neuroscience. I came across a study about two cats, Rainbow and Cece. Rainbow is a cat that you would not want to pet. She was feisty. Cece was a sweetheart. She was warm and affectionate. Would you believe me if I told you they're the exact same cat? Cece stands for carbon copy. She was cloned from Rainbow, sharing the same genetic blueprint. But raised in a different environment, she developed a completely different personality. That is my sister, and every child the world writes off too soon, assuming that diagnosis is their story ends. But I'm here to tell you, genes are not destiny. The environment we built around the child is. That belief became my nonprofit, Designing for Diversity. We teach parents the science behind their true child's potential and bringing Montessori to families who need them most. In Eritrea, we held the country's first Montessori workshop with the Ministry of Education and the National Intellectual and Developmental Disability Organization. We are now working towards training centers and public education on the capabilities of these children. But this isn't only about what my sister can do. It's also about who I became because of her. At 18, I befriended with a child who was homeless and on the spectrum. That friendship grew into a program that brought 30 homeless children back into school. 2 of them went on to secure jobs that paid more than what I made at the time. I know that would have never happened if my sister didn't teach me how to recognize true potential in others. Imagine if we all grew up around someone like her, even as a classmate. How much more compassionate would our society become? Do you see how much of a gift she has been to this world so far? Until that dream of inclusive classrooms becomes a reality, As an appointed ambassador of peace and a youth of human rights delegate, my call in every room, including Yale, the United Nations, and now here at Miss World, continues to be simple. Parents, do not hide your children. Educators, advocate for them to be in your mainstream classrooms. Leaders, let them be part of your workplaces. Don't just accommodate them from a distance. Losing my mother and raising my sister without her were the hardest chapters of my life. But today, they are the most invaluable jewels that make part of my crown of purpose. My sister may never be able to fully vocalize her true potential. And my mother is no longer here to tell you that early intervention might have given her more time with the family she loves. So if I'm entrusted with the Miss World title, I, Snit, promise to carry their voices beyond the stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eritrea. And welcome to Miss. Qualifying from Africa are Zambia, and it's wonderful. As you can probably see, Miss Zambia is in tears because she knows what an incredible achievement it is. Congratulations, Zambia. Our next qualifier, South Africa. And you would not think it possible to have debut nations qualifying for the major events in their very first Miss World. But we have another, and I think by that you know that our next qualifier is Eritrea. Eritrea, you're going to have 2 minutes to answer the question. 15 seconds from when we say time is the maximum you have to wrap up. And the questions for Africa. If you could give every girl in Africa one thing that money cannot buy, what would it be and why?
Thank you so much for this question. Thank you so much for the opportunity to stand here today among my sisters. If there was one thing I could give to this little girl in Africa, it would be the most priceless thing that anyone should be having. It is the gift of purpose. See, when we are in life, we're navigating, we're always watching at who is doing what. It could be fame, it could be money, until we realize none of it means anything. But purpose is actually what drives us to live this life properly, meaningfully. And by the end of their lives, I want them to look back and say, I lived my life and used all the gifts that the Creator has given me to live it purposefully. Everyone in here looks very different. Not even the identical twins are the same. Just as unique as we all are, also our purposes are unique. We all have a special assignment here in this world. So I would remind that little girl to find her purpose and live her life meaningfully. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eritrea.